Now, I'm going to do a 60-minute talk in 15 minutes now, so you'll have to listen really, really quickly. So, this is me, 1973. This is my dad's finger. He was a really shocking photographer. My dad was a PTI, like a physical training instructor in the Air Force, and at the age of 6, I lived all over the world, like in Sardinia and all sorts of places. And then when I was 6, I lived in sort of mid Wales. It's a beautiful kind of idyllic kind of childhood, a bit like, like Gladiator, walking along, hand on the, all this kind of stuff. And anyway, my mum and dad split up, but for some reason my mum brought me to Hull, and so I kind of went from this idyllic place to living in a masonette, like off Hessel Road. And the previous tenant actually committed suicide in this house. Nobody wanted to live there. And at night, the wooden beam he hung himself on would creak. It's probably because the wood actually was cooling down, but it never got warm. We actually had ice on the inside of the windows in the wintertime, which was really good training. Anyway, so from an early age, I understood about death, gravity, ropes, and everything else. So it was kind of like an Eastern European kind of childhood. I do a lot of talk for kids and stuff, and I always say, don't worry kids, people say how terrible the world is now and it's all desperate, but I grew up in the 80s. It was much worse, don't worry about it. Anyway, so I left school, didn't have any qualifications. Again, the 80s were a great time to go to school. It was, every child matters. Now it's like no child mattered back then. And I went on the dole, lived in a squat. And when I was 19, I was just on the dole, and someone said you got to get a job in a cabbage patch factory or something. And if you do a test, something wrong with you, you can stay on the dole longer. So I had this test, and one was loads of numbers like this, like oh my god, oh god, it was really, really terrible. And the other one was loads of shapes. I had to work out what the shapes looked like. And when I finished the test, the examiner said, well, on this numerical test, you got 16% wrong. You're basically, retarded. And on the other test, you got 99% right, which is amazing. So you need to get yourself a job which involves three-dimensional problem solving. So I got a job in a cardboard box factory, and but the guy said, "Can you have 10,000 of them and 3,000?" Anyway, I got the sack immediately. So I became a mountaineer instead, and because mountains like three-dimensional problem solving. So anyway, this is me. This is about the only photograph where I actually look like a proper mountaineer. Because usually just like a bin man. And when you do really dangerous routes, you get free clothes. It's great. Like when we were growing up, we used to get free clothes from the council to the poor. And now you do really dangerous routes, you get free socks. It's almost exactly the same. So climb all over the world, mainly because it's cheap really. Mountaineering is actually very cheap, like scuba diving or having a yacht. And you can sort of do all these amazing trips. This is like Yosemite. And I've climbed every year, so I'll go away quite a bit. And no trip costs more than probably £1,000. So it's cheaper than going to Ibiza for your holidays. And places like this, Patagonia, most places are kind of grim and cold and miserable. But I grew up in Hull, so I'm kind of used to it. Anyway, and how to make a living? I do all sorts of things. I kind of self-employed type person. I only say this because lots of young people are like, how do you do it? People are like, how do you do it? Oh, I'm independently wealthy. No, I sort of use skills from the brain, like illustrations, kind of stuff. And I've also written books, which is amazing because I'm really dyslexic. So lots of people have really good stories, and some people can't spell. But if you get someone who can spell and you've got a good story, they can sort out the spelling. So anyway, I've also once had a job as a chocolate safety diver on Charlie and Chocolate Factory, which is another story altogether. Anyway, so I did save Johnny Depp's life, but anyway, another time. So I'm going to talk about something that happened this year. This is the Troll Wall in Norway, and this little dot there is me, and walking in. This is the highest kind of wall in Europe. It's about over 1,000 meters high. It's like 4 Canary Wharf towers. Anyway, pretty high. And I've been there 4 times to try and climb this thing, and it's probably the worst place I'd ever want to climb, but for some reason that attracts it to me. I'm attracted to it. So I've tried to solo it 3 times. I tried to do a new route on it in winter, and a guy who got injured. And the only 2 of the British people ever tried to climb it. One ended up being quadriplegic, one ended up with a broken femur. So there's quite a heavy amount of kind of fear about the whole thing. Anyway, so I was 40 this year, and I was kind of sitting at home, wondering what to do for my 40th birthday, and what to do in the following year. I thought I'd go to Yosemite in California, beautiful sun, bronzed men and women, hi there, dude, all this kind of stuff, and people slacklining. And I thought, no, you can't go for the easy option. What would William Shatner do? In life, you've always got to pick there's never a shortcut. You know, you've always got to do the hardest way possible in life. So I decided I would go to try and solo the troll wall. You know, like, I would not let this thing remain in my head for the rest of my life. Like, oh, I really did it. And, anyway, so I bought a waterproof camera because the weather there is like really, really horrendous. Like, it just rains all the time, and that's one of the main problems of climbing the troll wall. And also I had to miss my son's birthday by going there, which was like, for me, it's like a really big deal. Like, I try to be a good dad and everything else. So it's actually very small. That's actually a real size cupcake. And the day I left, he had the day off school. I got a daughter as well, but she went to school. And I had to go to Netto's and buy loads of bottles of lemonade. And
Dad, get away.
So yeah, drank all that as well. He was very, very hyper. So I had like 10 days water. I had to go to Netto's and get all these bottles. They're only 10p, and fill the car up and start driving over there. And I had to drive 1,500 miles. Not very good, not very kind of environmentally friendly. But I had to drive there. There's no sort of direct ferry anymore. And drove all the way there. It took about 4 days just sitting in my car, like just thinking, oh my god, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Oh my god! But keep going. Don't think about it. And in a way, the story is about being brave, really, and just keep on going, driving, thinking about. Eventually, I got to Oslo and stayed with this guy. And Andy, you must be very calm. Anyway, that's just like a postcard on the fridge. So I finally made it to this place, Romsdal. The most terrifying, you know, like some kind of Lord of the Rings thing. Oh no, you must not go to Romsdal. Oh, why not? Oh, it's like, anyway. So I arrived there, and I realised I come at the wrong time of year. This is September, and people say, why have you come down? It is the winter time. It's like, what? It's September? No way, that's winter. Look, there's snow everywhere. Oh my god. And but there's loads of reasons not to do it, and but I wasn't going to let any of them sort of have an effect. So I decided to walk up to the top. This was not a good sign either, and that's blood. Anyway, so I walked up to the top to look over the edge of the thing, and just like looking over the top of the wall was absolutely terrifying. I just wanted to try and break down the barrier of actually, as you know, you can walk to the top. So there wasn't you can drive to the back. Anyway, so I sat around for a few days. It was raining every day, like, oh God, what I'm going to do, just do it. So I went to the bottom and I parked my car at this farm, and this is the wall behind me. And I went to see the farm. I said, I can leave my car here. And this really old man, he had one finger missing. It's a bit off-putting. And he was like, you must not go on the wall. You will die. He was like, ah. And so, don't worry, mate, don't worry, I'm really safe. You will die. Oh, cheers, you will die. Okay. And so I kind of, I left this thing, don't ring me up, by the way, telling people where I'd never done this in my whole life. I've never told anybody where I was going. For some reason, I thought, I'll do this. Unfortunately, I had it the wrong way around. So when I came back down off the wall, I realised it was the wrong way around. So anyway, they couldn't rescue me anyway. So so I walked up the base of the wall, just carrying these. I had to walk in 3 times. I had so much gear. This is horrendous kind of scree slope, and everything's loose and everything. Like, there's nothing worse than walking up top of this mountain, finding a smashed helmet or a piece of bone. These things like really put you off. But one thing that always, this guy, Walter Bonatti, one of the world's greatest mountaineers, died that week I was there. And this man was like a god. But when you read his book, he was just like an incompetent idiot. Basically, he had so much self-doubt and everything broke, and he hurt himself and he couldn't do this, but he kept on going. So whenever I thought, oh God, I've got to go back down, I'm too scared, I thought, William Shatner, Walter Bonatti, they're my role models, keep on going. So eventually, I got to the base of the wall. This was my first belay, tied the rope to it, and started climbing. And it was raining at the time, pouring with rain. There was a waterfall coming down where I was going to be climbing. And but I wouldn't let that put me off. And so I did the first bit, and I slowly kind of put this kind of climb together, getting higher and higher, hauling all my gear up with me. I was going to be on this wall for quite a long time. I had 10 days food, 10 days water, and slowly kind of bit by bit getting to this point where on the top of the route for the first ascension units, it said lost, which I didn't know what that meant. It was in Norwegian. I thought it meant long, and it meant loose, and it was. And this is a little film clip showing how. It's less loose now, and but I got so terrified. I was about 6 pitches up this route. I got so terrified that I realised I had to go back down again. But I left all my ropes all tied together. I had enough rope to reach the ground, so I had to go back down. And I went back down to the valley and just kind of sat like here on this river, like, oh my God. Like, I was like, well, that was almost good enough to have gone all this way and to have done that. That's almost good enough. But I thought, no, you have to go back. You have to complete this climb. So 2 days later, I walked back in again. As I was walking along, like, you're really in this like not a great kind of psychological place about what's going to happen. And I almost stood on this frog. And it was like a real turning point, because I thought, this poor frog is walking along this path, and I almost stood on it and killed it. What's ever done? You know what? That's fate. So, you know, me and the frog will be all right. So, and then I ate it because I like Bear Grylls. So I walked back in, pulled all my gear up, climbed this bit again, this scary bit, and slowly again, really scared. But like fear is like, I try to imagine it like like breaking through waves. When you go kayaking in the sea, the waves really scary, you set off and you're like, oh my God, it's really scary and cold. And the first wave hits you, oh my God, I want to say, oh, keep going. Oh God, another wave's hitting you, keep going. Because you know eventually the waves will disappear and you'll be out in the sea and you'll be okay. And that's the main thing I focused on. And eventually, after about 10 days, it got a lot easier. And the wall got steeper, I did fall off a few times. And but bit by bit, you were like living the nightmare stroke dream. And I was doing it. I was on the wall. I was climbing the wall. I was going to get up the wall, and I was having to, like, you know, use all these skills I'd learned from sort of climbing for 30 years. You climb up, abseil down, haul your whole bag up with all your food and water and everything else. You're sleeping on this little bed thing that's kind of on the wall, and every night there's like loads of like rock fall and things falling down. It's all really kind of scary. Anyway, after 10 days, I'd run out of water, I'd run out of food. I had 50 meters of rock to climb to have completed the route. And I woke up in the morning and I was kind of 4 pitches below. I had to climb up all these ropes and I had to climb as fast as I could. Incredibly dangerous, climbing too fast. I made loads of mistakes. I ended up hanging by my foot at one point, thinking this is a terrible way to die. It was so humiliating. And you know, a Norwegian would never do this. You know, and a Frenchman would look much better. And but eventually, I got to this point. So I was like 50. That's the top. 50 meters from the top, and I got there and I had about 2 hours to climb it. That wasn't enough time to do it, but this was it. I'd gone all this way, I'd driven 1,500 miles, I had to do it, and I didn't know what to do. I was like looking around and I was like, oh God, don't make a mistake, and my mind was like in such a quandary what to do really. And what happened was, a really bizarre thing happened. I heard my son's voice. Before that I started seeing like flashes of light, which was a bit weird. I think I was tired. But then I heard my son's voice. And what had happened was my camera was in my pocket and I pressed it like this, and the first bit of film on the camera had played, and it was, listen to what he says.
Dad, get away.
So if you believe in signs, that was quite a sign. And I was like, right, I'm going down. So I put some gear in, I abseiled down, back to my portal edge, and this is my whole bag with all my gear. The following day, falling 600 meters down to the bottom of the wall. So takes quite a while, don't worry about it. And I should have had an HD camera. Anyway, so I abseiled down, overhanging wall, very difficult. But I'd retreated off this wall 3 times before. I was quite a pro at retreating. And I abseiled back down, got there, dragged all my gear down, absolutely wasted. Got back to the farm, the man was there. You're still alive, told you, mate. And I got in my car and I drove back. People say, oh my God, that must be so bad. You're like 50 meters from the top. Oh God, that was so terrible. It wasn't. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was the best decision I ever made. All the way down, I'd be grin on my face, and driving home a long way, you know, because it's like, it's brave. You have to be brave to start this kind of thing. Also, you have to be brave to know when to stop. And for me, it's never been about getting to the top. It's always been that kind of the journey from being brave enough to start and then the end, whatever that is. So anyway, that's my story. Thank you very much. Thank you.